For over 1300 years, people have been coming to worship and pray at Ripon. The cathedral building itself is part of this continuing act of worship, begun in the 7th century when St Wilfrid built one of England's first stone churches on this site, and still renewed every day. Within the nave and choir you can see evidence of 800 years in which master craftsmen have expressed their faith in wood and stone. Today's church is in fact the fourth to have stood on this site. St Wilfrid brought stonemasons, plasterers and glaziers from France and Italy to build his great basilica in AD 672. In Ripon, St Wilfrid built and completed from the foundations to the roof a church of dressed stone, supported by various columns and side aisles to a great height, and many windows, arched vaults and winding cloisters. Devastated by the English king in AD 948 as a warning to the Archbishop of York, only the crypt of St Wilfrid's church survived, but today this tiny 7th century chapel rests complete beneath the later grandeur of Archbishop Roger de Pont-l'Évêque 12th century minster. A second minster, built to minister the love of God to the local community, soon arose at Ripon, but it too perished, this time in 1069, at the hands of William the Conqueror. Thomas of Bayeux, the first Norman Archbishop of York, then instigated the construction of a third church, traces of which were incorporated into the later chapter house. The exceptional early English west front was added in 1220. Its twin towers, originally crowned with wooden spires and lead. Major rebuilding had to be postponed due to the outbreak of the War of the Roses, but commenced after the accession of Henry VII and the restoration of peace in 1485. The nave was widened and the central tower partially rebuilt. Ripon Cathedral's exquisite miserere chords were carved about this time. But in 1547, before this work was finished, Edward VI dissolved Ripon's College of Canons. All revenues were appropriated by the Crown, and the tower never received its last perpendicular arches. It was not until 1604 that James I issued his Charter of Restoration. The minster finally became a cathedral in 1836, the focal point of the newly created Diocese of Ripon, the first to be established since the Reformation. Wilfrid, son of an Anglo-Saxon noble, was born in 634, only just after Christianity was accepted in Northumbria. At the age of 18, after 4 years living at Lindisfarne, he determined to visit Rome, a hazardous journey. His meeting with the Pope and a stay for 3 years with the Bishop of Lyon changed his life, and he became a monk. Back in Northumbria, he promoted and reformed customs of worship which he had learned in Rome. When he died at Undle in Northamptonshire in 709, his body was brought back to Ripon, his first and favourite foundation. Wilfrid was buried here to the south of the high altar. Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, His father became a residentiary canon of the cathedral in 852. During his many visits to Ripon, Carroll wrote Ye Carpet Knight and several pages of Through the Looking Glass, as well as a number of mathematical papers. Carroll's work may have been inspired by carvings in the choir, especially the Miserere of a griffin chasing a rabbit down a rabbit hole. Sir George Gilbert Scott depicted the Queen of Hearts and a Cheshire Cat in the south transept to commemorate this connection. Canon Dodgson, Carroll's father, is commemorated on the clergy board beneath the southwest tower. Wilfred Owen was perhaps the finest English poet of the First World War. He served on the Somme before being sent home in 1917, suffering from shell shock. After a period of convalescence in Scotland, he returned to light regimental duties. In March 1918, he was posted to the Northern Command Depot at Ripon. A number of poems were composed in Ripon, including Futility and Strange Meeting. His 25th birthday was spent quietly in the cathedral. Owen then rejoined his battalion at Amiens in September 1918 and was immediately awarded the Military Cross for gallantry. He was killed in the early morning of the 4th of November during the last week of the war.